We're going to have some fun in this video. Now that we've got a knowledge of some basic rhythms and rhythmic patterns, we're going to create some fun little exercises that we can use to practice our scales with. So far we've looked at the major scale. We're going to get to minor scales and their variations in coming videos, but for now I want to give you some exercises so you can get the major scales under your fingers and comfortable. Whether you're a singer, guitar player, horn player, piano player, whatever, you can practice these scales on any instrument. I'm going to show it to you on the piano keyboard now so you can see and understand how the exercises work, but you can practice them on anything. Now, the first example is a simple one. What I'm going to do is climb from the first degree to the fifth degree of the scale and then back down. So in the key of C, it would be like this. And then I'm going to go up chromatically and do the same thing a half tone higher. And we're going to continue like that, going up chromatically by a half tone until we get all the way up to the end of the octave, up to B major, which will be the last one. So I've created a little MP3 exercise here for you to practice along with, just to make it a little more fun. It's got a drum groove and a bass note and a pad sound playing the root, the tonic note throughout the exercise. So here's a 4-beat count off and here's how it works. E flat, E major, and it goes on like that, etc., until the end of the range, till we get to B major. Now here's another exercise that I've created that's going to be fun and a way to use the scales in a rhythmic way. There's no rule that says that you have to start and end a major scale on the tonic. Now in this exercise, what we're going to do is we're going to start on the tonic, but we're going to climb all the way up to the 9th degree and then back down to the tonic. And the reason for that is so that it flows nicely rhythmically and works out to a nice even 2 bars long, and the main notes or the important notes in the scale fall on the strong pulses. So this is what it's going to sound like. So it works out to a nice even rounded bar, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go up by half tones. So again, I've created a little background to practice along with, and I've done a little drum fill at the end to signal you when it's time to go up a half tone. So here's what this one sounds like and how it works. Etc., all the way up to B major. So we get to work our way through all the keys, but instead of through the circle of fourths or fifths, we're going up chromatically. Now I've got a third exercise here, and it's getting a bit more complex. Not complex, but it's a longer exercise. And this one can be done 2 ways, ascending or descending. Let's start ascending. Now this is a longer exercise because it involves a pattern like we saw in the first exercise, but we're going to repeat it on each step of the scale, on each degree of the scale. So in the key of C major, this is the basic pattern. We start on the root and skip the next note and skip right to the third and goes like this. So it's a whole bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but we skip the second degree. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and now we repeat it starting on the second degree. Then on the third degree, and on the fourth degree, all the way up to the 7th degree. And we land on 1 finally. So once we get through that whole series of repeating that pattern on each step of the scale and end on the root, we'll then hear a little drum fill and modulate up a half tone and do the exact same thing in D flat. So this is a long exercise. It's not particularly difficult, but it's long. And this isn't about speed, it's a mental exercise to get you really familiar and comfortable with all the steps and notes and intervals in each scale. So let me show you how this one works. We'll start off in the key of C. in a D flat. And etc. like that, all the way through the different keys. So it's a long exercise, and you'll have an MP3 to practice with it. And we can also do the same thing descending. So we're going to start in C, and here's the pattern descending. Etc. all the way down. So C, and you skip the first descending interval and go to the 6th degree instead of the 7th. So let me show you how that descending pattern works with the pattern that I've programmed up, and I'll try it in a different key. Let's jump to D major, and I'll do that descending pattern for you in D major. Here it is with a bar count in. So watch the notes on the keyboard, and you'll see that recurring pattern repeating each step of the scale going down. And I went up to E flat. So practice these. You can get through them all. You'll get the major scale under your fingers, and then we'll be ready to move on to the minor scales in the next videos. So if all this is a little bit too easy for you, if you got lots of chops on your instrument, you want to practice them a bit faster, you can make your own exercises and put them at the tempo you want. But here's another interesting one you can do. I'm going to go back to the first exercise, which you'll recall is this one. Well, what you can do is play to 16th notes and do the exercise where you go 1 to 9 and all the way back down like we did in the second exercise. Do it with this first pattern in a double time feel in 16th notes, and it'll sound something like this. And etc. all the way up through the different keys. So practice these, get comfortable with them, and next video we're going to jump into minor scales.